August 13, 1865. On the outskirts of Vienna, in a state psychiatric asylum, wardens are roughly restraining a man who, until yesterday, was a brilliant physician. He screams frantically about having found a way to stop death, claiming to be the savior of thousands of women, but his only response is the thud of blows and the tightening straps of a straitjacket. 2 weeks later, he will die in this very clinic from the same infection he spent his life fighting, without ever hearing a single word of recognition. His name is Ignaz Semmelweis. Today, he is called the savior of mothers, but in his lifetime, he became a despised outcast whom Europe's greatest minds dismissed as a dangerous lunatic. Right now, look at your hands. We wash them instinctively after coming home, before eating, or before picking up a newborn baby. It seems like a basic survival instinct, something completely self-evident, but only 170 years ago, a mere suggestion to wash your hands before surgery could have you disgracefully expelled from the medical community and stripped of your license forever. In the mid-19th century, medicine was shrouded in false grandeur, but behind the gilded facades of Vienna's clinics lay a true nightmare. Giving birth in the continent's finest hospital was a bloody lottery with death, where every third woman perished from the agonizing childbed fever. Great doctors merely shrug, blaming bad air, the mystical alignment of the stars, or even the emotional distress of the mothers, failing to notice the obvious death was literally following in their own footsteps. The story of Semmelweis's tragedy began the day he noticed a strange and terrifying pattern between the dissecting table in the morgue and the delivery ward. He did not yet know that this realization would ruin his career, burn out his mind, and, ultimately, cost him his life. In 1846, young Vienna was gripped by terror, but not from war or famine. The fear lay behind the doors of the Vienna General Hospital. Women begged on their knees, imploring doctors to send them to the first clinic instead of the second, for they knew that from the first, many left only in coffins. Ignaz Semmelweis, then a young assistant, became obsessed with this disparity. In the first clinic, staffed by medical students and doctors, the mortality rate was 3 times higher than in the second, where births were handled by ordinary midwives. He investigated everything: the mother's positions, the ventilation, even the ringing of a priest's bell that supposedly scared the mothers to death, but the numbers remained merciless. The breakthrough came through a personal tragedy when his close friend, Professor Kolechka, accidentally cut his finger with a scalpel during an autopsy and soon died in the same agony as the laboring women. In that moment, a terrifying mosaic pieced together in Semmelweis's mind. The doctors and students were coming to the maternity ward straight from the anatomy theater, carrying invisible but lethal cadaverous particles on their hands. At the time, no one knew of the existence of microbes, and Semmelweis, following his intuition, imposed a dictatorial rule: every physician was required to wash their hands in a chlorinated lime solution before examining the women. The result was staggering. Mortality plummeted from 18% to just 1%. It was a triumph that should have revolutionized medicine, but instead, it marked the beginning of the end for Ignaz himself. The great luminaries of science could not tolerate the thought that they gentlemen with advanced degrees were, in fact, the carriers of death, killing their own patients with their own hands. Instead of the honors he deserved, Semmelweis was branded a charlatan. The medical elite of the time viewed his theory as a personal insult. To admit he was right meant admitting they were responsible for the deaths of thousands of women. He was forced out of his clinic, stripped of his ability to practice, and driven to the brink of despair. In his open letters, he furiously called Europe's leading physicians irresponsible murderers, but his voice was drowned out by a wall of arrogant silence. Ignaz's mind could not withstand the pressure. In 1865, his friends tricked him into a psychiatric asylum under the pretext of visiting a new clinic. When he realized the truth and tried to escape, he was brutally beaten, and in an irony too cruel even for fiction, he died 2 weeks later from a blood infection, the very disease he had learned to defeat. The world forgot him for nearly 20 years until Louis Pasteur and Joseph Lister proved the existence of microbes, validating every word spoken by the mad doctor. Today, psychology recognizes the Semmelweis reflex, the human tendency to automatically reject new information that contradicts established dogmas. Ignaz Semmelweis lost the battle against his contemporaries, but he won the war for the lives of millions of people he would never meet. He died in shadow and dishonor so that today, every time we simply wash our hands, we perform a small act of gratitude to the man who saw invisible death and sacrificed himself to stop it.